Well, Ray Harmer is next with us to talk about his first year in this government and how it's been going. You're certainly in the news almost all the time. I mean, from the word go, you came out there straight away. The promenade resurfaced. You seem to be the hero of the hour. It's a tough one, is it, though? I mean, your department does seem to be in the news all the time.
Well, I think because we affect and touch people's lives all the time. So, you know, whether it's a road or a building or the trams or buses or whatever, we affect so many people. We're responsible for all the estates, the airports. You know, it's a big department.
Were you happy to get that? I mean, to be
yes.
the minister of this?
Yeah, because I'm my engineer. I have an engineering background, so it's kind of a natural fit for me.
Is that something you wanted to do, though, when you thought about going into government, to be a minister, to do that sort of thing? I mean, you've had a fast rise.
Well, for me, I just enjoyed, for me, the important thing is getting things done. Because I often get frustrated if things take a long time and things are quite slow, and that's what I'm here to do, is to help to put my sort of skills there to help the community to see the sort of the aspirations that people have and to see those things fulfilled and to be an enabler. And that's what's quite enjoyable about the Department of Infrastructure. It's an enabler and it helps other people to do what they need to do.
Okay, you come from the private sector to do this. I mean, is it a tricky thing to learn that things move less quickly than you possibly want, as you're indicating there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a completely different world. You know, the government and public sector is a completely different world to the private sector. Literally, there you can make quick decisions. You can influence very, very quickly. Obviously, with government, there's so many more stakeholders, so many more things, but sometimes I think that can be counterproductive as well. And that's been the real challenge, to get used to that climate and get used to that sort of way of things working.
What was it like taking over from Phil Gorn? Because I mean, obviously, the problem is a great example of how things never quite got there. You seem to have sped this thing along much quicker.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was very keen to do, because I was very conscious of what went before. You know, and I knew that there were certain things that I had in there, and I thought, well, if we don't actually do anything within the first 2 or 3 months, because a lot of the work, even though it came into July, and some of that actually had to be done almost on day one, on day two, because that's the way it works. You know, if you don't hit the ground running, before you know it, you've lost momentum, and you've actually lost, you know, the few years that you had to actually do something.
And this department, I mean, and not just your time, but getting everyone on side, was that something you had to work out, or was it everyone very happy to work with you?
Well, it's something you do really have to work at. Yeah, there's a lot of hidden work around the scenes, talking to people, discussing things. If you like, Tynwald is only really, if you like, the last pass into a goal, if you see what I mean. It's the very last piece of it, but you have to listen to people, understand them, understand their concerns, understand where their frustrations are, and try and build a consensus. So that is really, it's but like an iceberg. That's your 90% of work. If you like, the 10% is actually in Tynwald.
So when you were door knocking for this campaign, was there one thing that you were promising people, or one thing that you stood out as people remember why they voted for you?
Well, in terms of getting things done, and you know, and key, I think has been promenade. Also, another key, obviously, local issues is BL sewage. It was key to get that in the programme for government, that the original sewage strategy would be done. So that is moving apace. So all of these things are very much about making things and enabling those things, and seeing some sort of just basic common sense in government to move things forward.
Is it something you've got on the horizon you'd really want to push forward over the next 12 months while it's still a fresh government?
Well, there's quite a few things that are important to me. As I say, it's quite exciting to see these infrastructure things. Obviously, I was also passionate about some sort of about the Manx Credit Union. We've been working with the people on that in the last year. There's also, it's just about the way we deal with things financially is also important. So that and education is a key issue. But there's more than enough to be done in infrastructure to move that along. You know, we've still got the sea services moving that forward.
Oh well, let's talk. I mean, was that a surprise to you, the whole thing with the steam packet?
Well, I think it's we take bold moves. We and it's important to do so. And we carried people through. It wasn't the right time to bring that to Tynwald, and we've moved forward now, and we're going to continue negotiation. There's things to do with Liverpool landing station. There's Lord Street development. There's a heck of a lot in the background that hopefully we'll see the light of day over the next year or so.
Are you happy to stay with the department? Do you see yourself staying there for the 5 years?
Yeah, because I want to see it to completion. Particularly with the when you take something like the promenade, you want to see it to the end. I think it'd be quite frustrating, to only if you like to start it and then to move.
There was
somewhere.
criticism of anything. It was still going to take so many years to do when it should be done in a few weeks or something.
Well, there's always that criticism, and I think there's a valid debate, but you can compact something into 9 months, but then you basically have to close Douglas. It's as simple as that. It's like a greenfield site, and if you were to build a motorway across on a greenfield site, it'd be very, very easy. But if you want to keep all the services, the water, the buses running, the cars running, all of those kind of things, you have to work alongside. It makes the project incredibly complicated. So that's why it will probably take longer. And
talking about buses, that's your sort of headline one that's grabbing people at the minute.
Yeah. I mean, but I think we all have to. It's an important area, but I think we're working together. Again, that's a lot of discussion in the background, but we are under a lot of challenges and a lot of pressure, and financially, as an island, we have to continually evolve and update ourselves.
You have a likability factor about it. You just talking to a lot of people. There's that confrontation. You just seem to smile a lot, and it all seems to work its way out. Is that one of your pluses?
Well, I think you have to be positive. It's really easy to sort of you have sort of bad days, and if you're not careful, you sink to the bottom. But you have to see what the opportunities. Often problems give opportunities, and challenges give solutions. That's the way I see it.
Does it hurt you if you see criticism, especially on social media, things like that?
No, because people are only focused on that one issue. They might not always know what the wider issues are. And again, we're here to do work for the wider community, and we have to keep all people in mind. A lot of those people are even on social media, and we have to understand that sometimes there's a difficult bit before you get, if you like, the finished product. So, no, I think you have to. I think you can't worry about those all the time, because if you did, you wouldn't get out of bed, to be honest.
On the positive side, I have to say you're always available for interviews, which is something that's these days is important, isn't it? To make sure that everyone knows what's going on as much as you can tell people what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it is in the background, but you have to try and communicate as much as possible. You have to tell people where things are at, and you have to be to really sort of because if you don't do that, that's what we're here for.
Do you see yourself as a career politician? That's a question I've asked everybody.
No, not as a. Well, that's a difficult question. In the sense that I'm happy where I am. I feel like while I feel like I can do good things and achieve things, and for the Manx people, then yes, but that's as far as it goes.
So 4 years from now, is that too early to be thinking about it, or would you be tempted to carry on?
That's way too early to be thinking about it. But I do enjoy what I do. I mean, the biggest thing for me is being able to help people that in situations that have difficulties on a constituency basis as well as on a department basis, and that's and sometimes they've got nowhere else to go, and you can be there and make way for things to happen. And you can also have an influence on some of the big decisions, on the law that's been made, those things that I'm delighted to have seen through, like the tax allowances going up and things like that, what I'm passionate about. I'm keen to do.
Yeah, one woman can create a whole media storm like about horse trams and things. Does that throw you off line? You have to be deflected.
I think that's the really big challenge for MHKs and for departments, that actually, if you're not careful, you can be sunk by things that could be distracting. And you may have answered that query, but at the end of the day, you haven't actually achieved anything. And I'm very conscious of doing that.
And balancing being the minister and being a MHK, dealing with the drains are blocked or something or whatever. You probably get some really odd ones like everyone else seems to.
Well, yeah, you do, and I think that makes it part of the fun, really, to be honest, and it keeps your feet on the ground.
Part of the fun, though. This is quite a revelation here.
Well, where I get frustrated, and where I find it hard, is if you can't get a solution. If you can't resolve somebody's problem, then I find that quite difficult. But while you can actually sort of say, well, actually, have you thought about this? Have you, then actually I enjoy doing that. I enjoy actually, being able to be part of the solution.
And what's the mood like in the house? I mean, is it still pretty, everyone's working together, or is it starting to fray at the edges now?
I think everybody is, but I think there's a misunderstanding. I think there's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of disagreement on certain areas, but when those are worked through, you get a much better debate. And so, therefore, you get a lot better
small
outcome.
debates, aren't they? I mean,
well, I think sometimes, but I think some of them have been quite lengthy. I mean, one of the problems we had in the previous administration is the fact that we had long debates about car parking for MHKs and very little debate about the £50 million enterprise fund. And there was no sort of balance. I think you've got a lot more balance, a lot more detailed questions that I'm getting, and I think a lot better challenge. The challenges are better. It's not the length; it's the quality.
It was £1 charge at the airport that threw everybody off. And even today, the police still move everyone around. It's this game that goes on. Okay, I'm asking now, would you like the top job, first of all?
Absolutely not. No, not in a million years.
Why?
Well, I really like where I'm at the moment.
But in 5 years' time, and you sort out all the problems. Every road's done. Seriously, you don't fancy.
No.
Okay. How do you rate yourself out of 10?
Well, that is an impossible question, and one I hate passionately, because it's for the people to decide.
Everyone's giving this now.
But I do get a buzz if we can solve solve problems, and we've done a lot of that this year, and that's been a good.
Should I put down as an 8 or a 9?
No, that's for other people to decide. Also, social media will have a different opinion.
Okay. Well, the one you're going to have to answer is, how do you think the government's doing out of 10?
I think it's doing pretty good overall. I think there are some areas, obviously, that I think are challenges and communication issues in certain areas, but I think in some of the big things, Quality Act, absolutely huge, and that's come through. And like I say, the personal allowances, big thing, that's come through. Beneficial ownership, that's the prom, big thing, that's come through. So there's some real big
out of 10.
Out of 10, I think I would say 8 or 9 for the
8 or 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
we'll do this every year, so we'll see how it goes. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself so much, and that your phone just keeps ringing, does it? I mean, basically.
Well, yes, that's what, as I say, that's what I'm here for.